Welcome to Just a Cup on Believe. I am Bryan Fetzer. This is an organic conversation with some of the world's greatest athletes, coaches, and people help them get to that spot. And today, got a very, very special guest. And the question I want to pose to listening is, what if you were a part of something that was so impactful that could change lives for generations to come? And today I have with me Julie Myers, who I've had the pleasure of knowing for quite a long time. Back at the University of Virginia coaching days. Julie, incredible coach, 27 straight years making the NCAA tournament, been an NCAA coach of the year, ACC coach of the year, and has a very prestigious kind of pedigree of being a player, an assistant, and a coach to win a national championship. So it's hard to top that. And she's currently the CEO of the One Love Foundation. And we're going to get into what that is. But Julie, thank you so much for joining. I'm excited to chat.
Thanks, Bryan. I'm excited to be here.
So, first let's talk about you from the transition from being a coach and being a part of that. I mean, 27 years is making the national championship or making the NCAA tournament that's crazy because most coaches don't coach 27 years. Most people are in the sport for 27 years, and to do it 27 consecutive is kind of crazy.
Yeah, but I was a small part of something so much bigger than myself. My team was amazing. My coaches were amazing. My support staff, again, just kind of kept all the players healthy and moving forward. And, at the beginning of every year, we're like, let's play in May. That was when the NCAA tournament bids came. That was when really the classes were ending. We had to get through exams, which was always tough. But it was just one of those things that we always wanted to get to May. We wanted to enjoy the process. We wanted to make sure we were competitive along the way, but we knew the better we took care of today would give us a better chance to play in May. So, just super proud of the team. That one COVID year, we didn't have that NCAA tournament. So 2020 is kind of that gap that we didn't have it. So it was 28 years as a head coach, but played in the tournament each of those years, which, is a testament to the team and the coaches.
Having been a player and played in a national championship, did you think at that point in time, hey, I want to be a coach. I want to continue that journey?
Yeah, I think all along, all growing up, I wanted to do something in sports. I always loved coaching. I loved playing. I loved being on a team. I'm one of 7 kids, all inside of 10 years. So I like to think even my family was a team. When we played in the neighborhood, it was the Plazics versus the neighborhood. And it was always really fun. And I usually kind of took the lead in terms of organizing who was playing where and what the sport was going to be and whatnot. So, my last game as a graduate student was a national championship game and a win. So I think from that point on, it was like, well, how could you do anything else? Clearly, I need to be coaching, hopefully in college. I was a field hockey player as well. So when I started coaching, I was also a field hockey assistant coach as a grad assistant when I was a grad assistant for lacrosse.
Wow. That's definitely something I didn't realize. That's pretty amazing. But so, you've got to see, women's lacrosse has really in the last 10 years taken off incredibly. Yep. Why do you think that's the case?
Oh, God. Well, I think so much happens in a lacrosse game. Lots of goals, lots of speed, a lot of finesse. People like action and they like results. And it is constant for lacrosse. The common scores are 14, 15 goals. So there's a lot to celebrate. And I think it's the really great universities play lacrosse. So if you're a younger kid, say picking a sport or finding which one they love, you can be like, I can play this in an Ivy League. I could go to Virginia, Carolina, Duke. I could play this in California. So I think we had the right combination of universities that were offering lacrosse at the D1 level for sure, but then even D2 and D3s, you could go anywhere with the sport. So we always considered it a great opportunity sport. It's something like 9% of high school athletes will go on and play their sport in college, which is by far and away better than a lot of our other sports that we're going up against. So lots of action, a lot of running, a lot of finesse, a hard game to understand, a lot of different rules. It is one of those games that is a head scratcher when you first start, but it's so fun because it's just fast, it's free flowing, it's offense, defense, midfield. It's got everything going.
And it is very different than the men's game from tactics and looks. Guys got the helmets on and shoulder pads, and you can actually see who who the women are that are playing as opposed
I
to.
mean, there are some similarities between the two for sure, but yeah, I mean, we play with different sticks. We have different rules. We don't wear the helmet and whatnot. Thank God, and hopefully never will. So we want to make sure that we have some differences between the men's game, because if we played the men's game as women, then we would be in helmets and we would need shoulder pads and everything else. So we do really want to make sure that we stay separate from some of those rules, but it's just a great finesse game. And it's really, really hard. So when the guys mess around with the women's stick or run on the length of our field, they're like, oh my God, it's a lot more running because our restraining lines are in a different place. Our goals are further apart. But it is really fun to just see the appreciation for the skill and the finesse that it takes.
I mean, it's super fun to watch. I mean, because like you said, I mean, the goals, it seems like somebody scores all the time.
Yeah.
And that's, it's definitely one of the sports that I'll flip on and watch on, ESPN Plus or ACC Network, on an afternoon and go, man, that's, and all of a sudden you turn away and there's 10 more goals scored and you didn't even realize it.
Yeah, exactly. We've modified our rules so it's a little bit easier to watch. We didn't used to have a possession clock, so some possessions could take forever. But now we're to that 90-second mark and 60th at reset. So we're trying to even speed it up more. So I think that we've done a nice job with the rules, and the players have been amazing and the coaches have been dynamic. So it's kind of your perfect scenario.
So, I mean, you transition then from being a coach for a career, and then you go and you become the CEO of the One Love Foundation. What brought about that, going? I mean, let's go back and kind of talk about One Love, because I think it's probably more important to get the context of the One Love Foundation. Can you give a quick kind of understanding of what the One Love Foundation is?
Yeah, and I think to do that, I'm going to start at the beginning. So it'll be 15 years this May 3rd since we lost Yardley Love, who was a beloved player on my lacrosse team. She was in an abusive relationship that we didn't realize. We knew that there were things that were less than ideal, but we didn't understand that they were dangerous. We didn't have language to have the conversations. We didn't know really how to talk about the behaviors and not the person. So we really missed a lot of warning signs just from being naive. So out of profound and unimaginable loss, the family, Sharon Love and Lexi Love, Yardley's mom and sister, were like, we clearly are not the only people that can be surprised by domestic violence and relationship abuse. Let's research it and let's figure out, like, what did we not know and how can we help other families, other teams, other communities learn from our being naive, and how do we help them? And how do we help kids stay safe and stay healthy? And, when you look at, when everything boils down, like, relationships are a part of everybody's every day. And the healthier we can make those relationships, the more you'll be able to reach your potential. You'll create success. You can really do anything if you're living inside a healthy relationship. So the One Love Foundation, our mission is to end relationship abuse and domestic violence. We do that through raising awareness of the prevalence. Between the ages of 16 and 22, you're most vulnerable. Women are, over 1 in 3 women will be in an abusive relationship in their lifetime. And it's 1 in 3 men. So, this isn't us thing. Doesn't matter who you are, how you identify, who you love. We're all, we all just need to understand that there's some vulnerability out there, and it just requires some conversations, awareness of what to look for, the behaviors that we've come up with, 10 healthy ones, 10 unhealthy, and then giving it conversations so that from day one, you can have conversations about boundaries, about expectations, about what you're looking for and what you're willing to give, and how you can love healthy and support one another. And again, try to live up to, your fullest potential. So the foundation does a lot with education. We work a lot with, we're really 11 to 24 is our sweet spot in terms of our researched ages. But we just try to get in front of classrooms, teams, community-based organizations, camps, you name it. We try to get in front of people who serve youth so that we can help them learn and create healthy relationships everywhere.
That, when you said relationships, I mean, as a coach, I mean, that's kind of the basis of coaching is relationships. Yeah. And it's amazing how as much of sports are relational, it's amazing how little we know about relationships or even talk about relationships.
Right. So, and you're right. And when I talk to teams, I'm like, by the way, a relationship's not competitive. Competitive people, like, save that control, that dominance, that possession time, that that I want what you have. I'm never giving it back. Like save all of that mantra of being an athlete for when you're on a field or on the court. But a relationship's not competitive. Nobody should be trying to control somebody else. Nobody should be in charge of another person. So it's just really, reminding athletes that we're more when it comes to a relationship. But then you're right, on a team, you wouldn't let somebody sabotage your team. You would say something to that teammate. You wouldn't let somebody cut a corner and not show up. You wouldn't let somebody really do anything that would be detrimental to a team. So why wouldn't we have that same expectation with relationships? And what we do is we draw correlations, and we make it easier for kids and youth to be able to say, hey, that's not cool, or that behavior, that's how it made me feel, and I'm not standing for it. So we do really try to inspire the teamwork and teammates in that as well.
Has there been have been more colleges and more high schools been open to those kind of conversations than in the past that you've seen?
I think with the whole focus on mental health and people really trying to take care of the whole person, that certainly has helped. We've reached over 3.3 million students already through our workshops, and that doesn't even count like the conversation guides that we have. This is just really for your film-based workshop. So we've educated kids in every state. We've even had some education happen overseas. We work a little bit with the Navy, trying to do a little bit more with other parts of the military where domestic violence is really, really high. But really, we've been able to educate a lot of kids, which is important. And I do think when you talk to the students afterwards, they all comment on that was really helpful. Like, I now have things I'm going to take away. I'm going to pay more attention. I know what to look for. And most importantly, I know to trust my gut. I know when I should say something to my intimate partner or to my friend that I may be worried about. So really just that added awareness and giving them the tools in the conversation has been a huge help.
So, just so somebody understand, this isn't just for athletics. This is for the full gamut. When you start talking about military, my mind went, 5 million directions thinking about, how prevalent that could be in so many other parts of life as opposed to just sports, just athletics.
Absolutely. It happened. Yardley was a lacrosse player on our team at the University of Virginia. She was 3 weeks from graduating. Like, her finish line was, let's play in the NCAAs, which we did. The day after her funeral was the day that we got our NCAA bid. We knew at that point that lacrosse was really going to be how we could stay together and heal a little bit more. We knew once the season was over, exams were done, the fourth years were going to graduate, they were going to go off, we were going to get a new first set of first years. Like, we knew we needed a lot more time to heal. And truthfully, I think we're all still in some stages of healing, even 15 years later. But being that bid, that NCAA bid gave us an extra week together. We won our first round game. It gave us an extra week together. We got our butts handed to us in our last game, which oddly was Yardley's birthday, July 17th. So we lost 7-17, which is really weird. And I'm like, Sharon, you couldn't have her on like October 11th. It could have been better. But the fact that we could kind of start to joke about that years later showed a lot of resilience and a lot of healing as well.
I want to touch on, as you take a break, I want to touch on kind of dealing with pressures and dealing with tragedy, because sadly, it seems like it happens more and more in sports and in college life. So after the break, we're going to talk a little bit more on that. You are listening to Just a Cup on Believe with Bryan Fetzer. Hey, please subscribe, like, share. You can get this on where any podcast is found, Apple, Spotify. You can get it on YouTube, and you can get it at believe.com. So please help us continue to help this grow and get the message out, and let some phenomenal stories about phenomenal people reach all over the globe. Today, I have with me Julie Myers, who is the CEO of the One Love Foundation and a long-time, super successful collegiate lacrosse coach at the University of Virginia. And we're talking specifically now about Yardley Love and in the situation that occurred where she lost her life so tragically while she was a college student, 3 weeks before her graduation. And Julie, when I just right then and there, just thinking about that, you think about the questions that the kids, I mean, because that's a massive blow to a college kid. I mean, just like, hey, like your teammate, your friend isn't with us anymore. I mean, I don't want to say what was that like, but what were some things that you guys did to kind of help teammates and friends and family through the coaches through the process?
I mean, it was there was no playbook for it. There was nobody that had really been there before that could say, "Hey, this is what I did, and it helped us." So we really just kind of went with instinct. We knew staying together was going to be really important. We were grateful that we still had a season, and that it was still an important part of our season, but that it wasn't like 5 months left of our season. So while I would have loved a few more weeks, I think 5 months would have been overwhelming. I think we would have needed to kind of step away a little bit. But our instinct was to stay together. Our instinct was to cry if we wanted to sit silent if we needed to, and to laugh and to share if that was the emotion. We walked miles and miles. We had meals. We did a lot together. We didn't really play lacrosse until after we had our final farewell at the funeral. We didn't play lacrosse until the next day. It just seemed not important at the time to get back at it. And by the way, our week of practice was horrible. As you could imagine, it was some kids could rise to the challenge, others couldn't. The fourth years, I mean, they were as devastated. And you have to remember that her abuser actually played lacrosse on the men's team. So this was a known person. This wasn't like a boyfriend from home that came down that nobody knew. This was somebody that we shared a field with, a weight room with, that we passed throughout. They saw, I mean, everybody knew everyone. And I think that was also really hard to think that, oh my gosh, somebody that I know that I would call somewhat a friend could ever do this to someone we all love. So the hurt and the confusion was just, I mean, it was unimaginable, to be honest with you. Time does help. But I remember being so annoyed by people saying, oh, in time it'll help. And I'm like, I don't even want time right now. I just want to go back in time. Like if I had anything with time, don't give me more of it. Let me go back and let me know what was going on, and let me try to be helpful through just awareness.
It is sad. I mean, it's almost every year now that there is some kind of tragedy within specifically collegiate athletics of some sort of abuse, of violence. Yeah. Why? I mean, do you have any with research or what you guys do? Is there any reason why that's kind of becoming sadly a norm?
Yeah, well, we don't really research like the misuse of like adult to a student, but certainly student to student. I do think that kids are doing really mature things before they have the maturity to handle some of those emotions that come with it. I think the onset of social media and your phones, it makes a relationship potentially 24 hours a day where you don't really have an escape. I think so many things on your phone can seem like a great idea with let me follow your location to make sure that you've made it home. But my gosh, that can become the next huge can of worms of like, I don't want them to have my location. And then the fight that could create. And if you say it'll be fine and they can have my location, you hope that it's not misused. So there's just around every corner, there's just the potential for danger. But if you are aware that danger can happen, like I will say, I had no idea that anybody could ever, I knew fights happened in college. Never did I think somebody would actually take somebody's life in college. Never did I even understand that technically qualifies as domestic violence. Like I thought that was you were married. I had no idea that it was an intimate partner within a home that would qualify. So we learned a lot, and really through the conversations and through the trial, it was like eye-opening. And to Sharon Love's credit and Lexi, they're like, there's no way we're the only people that had no idea. Like, well, how can we help people we'll never ever meet? How do we help save Yardley with a different name and a different community that with a different relationship? Like, what can we do to help and use this platform? So super proud of the work that we're doing. And I think I said earlier, it happened in lacrosse, it happened in sports, but this is an us thing. And it's so much bigger than lacrosse or even the sporting world. Like, so we work with students, classrooms, camps, community-based organizations. It certainly is not sport driven, although it did happen in that sporting world. which I think has given us the opportunity to work with more teams than you would have thought.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, let's talk about that transition from you going from being a coach to now overseeing, because I pretty clearly there's some invested interest with you running, the foundation. How did that transition kind of come about? Did you kind of sense like it's about time for me to be done coaching and kind of go into,
I think parents will understand this and it'll resonate. So I had 3 kids. My youngest was about to go to start college, and he was going to play lacrosse at Hampton Sydney. My middle son had just finished his first year at Virginia, where he also plays lacrosse. The team makes it to a Final Four, and I literally say in a bad parenting moment out loud, I hope you win this year because I don't ever want to be at your Final Four again, because it's the same weekend as the women. So I'm like, if I'm here, it means I wasn't successful. So if you could get it done this year, that would be great, which again, I should not have said it quite like that. And then my daughter had
– It's a coach though.
I know. I'm like, of course my games are more important. And then my oldest was had a 5th year and playing lacrosse out at Stanford. I missed all the games. Like even Timmy, who played at Virginia, I went to 1 warm up and 2 games, and we shared a field. Like I saw him practicing more than I could get to a game. So I'm like, you know what? Their careers are going to end probably at about the same time that my coaching career would probably end. I'm in my mid 50s. I'm like, at some point, women, even though I think that we get better and better and smarter with all of our experiences,
absolutely,
nobody wants the grandma to coach, which, by the way, granddads do. So I'm like, wait a second. But I thought this was my chance to be a different kind of mom and to support them. And I thought maybe this is the time that their games are more important than mine. But the only way for that to really ring true is if I were to step out. I had no idea when I made that decision that the One Love Foundation was looking for leadership. I had no idea that this opportunity was out there, but I knew all along that I would do anything to help One Love. In fact, when I first started to talk to the group, I asked if it was like, I'm like, I'll do anything you need me to do, but like, are there benefits? Like I'm a single mom, like I need to take care of my kids as well. And they're like, this is a real job. And I'm like, not that, I mean, I had no idea that they were thinking CEO. But my willingness and my desire to help people know what we didn't know, to help save anybody, and all corners of the world. I'm like, my gosh, let this horrible loss do some good for other people. And so, when I had the opportunity, it was, I was very grateful to get the opportunity when they said, we want you to lead the org. I couldn't believe that I had 2 dream jobs in a lifetime. Like most people don't get lucky once. True. And here I was, I got lucky twice. So it's a huge honor and just such a privilege to be able to do what I get to do.
Is there some visions, some plans that you want to kind of see come to fruition in the next, year, 2, 3 years?
Yeah. So we're basically a huge online resource hub. So we have education for teachers, for families, for coaches, like you name it. We have so much information out there. We have workshops and other content. But we do want to make sure that we're reaching even more kids. We want to get in with full school systems, not just schools here and there. We would love for there to be some legislation where relationship health mandates are required across all public schools in all states. We would love for One Love to be on their list of accredited resources and content to deliver to those classrooms. So what I need to make sure is that we keep our research current, we keep our resources up to date. We want to make sure that, as kids are watching our films, I don't want them to laugh at the size of the cell phone that's in the film or the style of clothes that the actors are wearing, because all of that is relevant. That's so true. I need to make sure that I am reflective of relationships that kids are having, but also current with the lingo and everything else. So I need to make sure I can continue to add content and keep things up to date. I need to make sure that all of my platforms are interfacing with one another, and we can capture who's on our website. What are they looking at? How do we do it better? What do they need? What questions do they have? How do we bring that user to bringing the content into their classrooms? Like, how do we get them to become our next facilitator? We actually have 55,000 trained facilitators around the world. And those are people that we have trained remotely on our website. This is how you set up a safe and inclusive environment to have this conversation. Here's a film that fits your age group. Here's your PowerPoint and your discussion guide that you're going to start with from point A to the very end.
Mm.
And I need to crunch all the research or all the data that we collect. Was it on point? Would you recommend this? Did you learn? We have 7 learning objectives. Did you learn what we said you were going to learn throughout the course of this workshop? So I just need to make sure that we're airtight so that we are moving the needle. I think One Love is part of the solution, but the more people we can reach, the bigger part of the solution we're going to be.
I mean, has it become like an initiative in the NCAA? Is that something that, I mean, because I would think that's a no-brainer for the NCAA, but that's just,
get me set up with somebody at the top. But I mean, yes, like a little bit. So they do have mandates now that you have to do some prevention education for your student athletes. It could be financial planning. It doesn't have to be relationship health.
wow.
I would love for there to be a priority to relationship health. I think every athletic department, all of their coaches, their trainers, everybody could get trained and have the conversation, not just once in the workshop, but then follow up with knowing how to check in on a friend, ask the right questions.
I mean, I just sit and think, I mean, sports are all relational. I mean, that's the baseline of everything. I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but to think that wouldn't be something that would improve your team. I mean, because if you're learning how to deal relationally with a partner, that helps you deal with a teammate. That helps you deal with a coach. I mean, it's just not just a partner situation. I mean, now, in my personal opinion, we spend so much time on the phone that we fail to have conversations.
Yeah.
And it's getting worse. I mean, younger people have a hard time talking.
Right. No, I agree. And
people.
And even with my kids, I'm like, did you talk to them with words or with a picture? Like even what they call talking doesn't mean talking. So yeah, I mean, I think it fits right in. I think what is also totally amazing, Bryan, is we're a national nonprofit. All of our resources have been built up through the generosity of donors. So this is not like a government funded thing. This is literally like you have a corporation, you want to stand up with us and try to help relationships everywhere, like sponsor some work from One Love, sponsor our Ed Center or some more research.
Where can somebody go to get that information?
The sponsorship type information?
Yeah.
They would, if you go onto our website, joinonelove.org, you can just send an email in to say, hey, I'm interested in getting involved or bringing a workshop or content to my community, or I want to sponsor some work. I'm a team, I'm a league, I'm a college. I want to sponsor some of this work. The more sponsorships we have and the more supporters we have, we can just reach more people. And most importantly to me, we can build sustainability. So I would love to endow my program team. I would love to endow our website and the technology, which, as you know, like technology is so expensive and it's so necessary. You're like, it's the beginning, middle, and end of your day. But if, I'm trying to build a sustainability plan. So for sure, there should be another CEO after me. This should live for generations, but it will have to continue to evolve. So there will always be a price tag to it. But I hope it's not necessary at some point. My guess is it will always be, even when we're in a good place and relationship abuse, domestic violence is not a scary thing or happening that often. Relationships always take communication. It always takes focus and awareness. So it will always take effort. So even if right now it's 1 in 3, like even if it gets to 1 in 100, it's probably because we've been having these conversations. So I think there will always be a place for content and for our education.
Well, if you're watching, happen to be watching on YouTube or you're listening and you watch on YouTube, we put the domain name so you can go to it and kind of see the joinonelove.org, and we'll actually also put it in the bio for the show to make sure you get a chance to do that. It's amazing that 15 years ago we never talked about mental health. That never was something that kids would go see the sports psychologist, and a lot of them probably didn't want to go because of the stigmatism of, well, if you go see them, then you're crazy. But just being able to talk and to be able to understand that there's issues out there, and the pressures. Now, we were talking before we started recording just about now with name, image, and likeness with college athletes, and now high school athletes have that. The pressure that's going to continue to escalate, that's tough on an 18-year-old, 17-year-old, 16-year-old, whatever it might be.
I mean, it's such a great opportunity on some hand for those athletes that make it through and get that, but it comes with a burden for sure. And I think, 15 years ago when kids went to sports psych, it was really performance enhancing. It was like, how am I going to get that mental edge? Well, now sports psych is like, how are you as a person? What other things are you juggling and trying to manage? If we can put those stressors and anxieties in place, now we can talk about sports performance. But even how sports psych started, it was never about like, how are you? It was like, what can you do for me on the field? So it's
right.
Even that has come a long way, but I do think it's really important. And there is less and less stigma for asking for help. And by the way, there's so many resources out there for high school students and college students. And part of our thing is like, learn how to use your resources while you have them, because national resources will be there for you when you're done graduating, but nobody's going to really take care of you quite so much as after you're done with college. You're not going to have a dean of students or a counseling center. You're not going to have a coach, a trainer. Like, you're not going to have all those things. So learn how to ask for help while you have some of those resources available to you. So you can kind of build that village of people later when you may need them.
And that the adage, it takes a village, 100% is a true statement without question.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna let you go on with one more question, and I ask it pretty much every single episode. If you had to go back to the younger you, what advice would you give you for life, for being a coach? What would be that short little thing? It doesn't necessarily, it could be anything really.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like little things really do matter. Like, they really do matter, but no little thing at any point in time is enough to bring you down. Like, stack them positive, but don't get hung up on that one that may not go your way. So failure and heartache is part of life. And it actually can help you get better. And being a little bit afraid of failure can be a good motivator. So just kind of embrace the journey, control what you can. Certainly try to find those little successes and those little nuggets that you can grow from. But I wouldn't lose sleep over the stumbling blocks. I would celebrate those a little bit more.
I always love asking coaches those kind of questions, because coaches always give very specific and great advice.
And probably similar, I would think. Like,
yes.
And I think as a coach, like we've coached for 28 years. And so, our experience base is different, but for that first year kid, it may be their first really big game. So it's like, we can't add our stress to them being naive. In fact, being naive can be a really good thing. So certainly coach them up. But I think as coaches, we can sometimes put our stress and concern on the team, and it's not fair. It's not going to help them. And they're still building their experience.
That is very true. Wow,
right.
Julie, thank you so much for jumping on and talking, giving some background with the One Love Foundation, and just hopefully open some eyes and open some ears to pursue and to look and to kind of do those resources. We'll make sure we put all the contact information within in the podcast and on YouTube.
Perfect. I mean, we're here for you. We're a great resource, and we want to be a part of the solution. So thanks so much, Bryan.
Awesome. Hey, you've listened to Just a Cup on Believe. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and follow all the kind of episodes. This one with Julie Myers and the One Love Foundation. We appreciate listening. Have a great one. God bless.